This thing is not designed for someone with big hands. So I'm working on the valve check for the Rebel 500. And so I know I had said that it probably wouldn't need it. And technically it doesn't, because it's still within spec, though the tighter end of the spec. But I wanted to share a couple of things that were cool. And I'm not going to go into everything that's involved in getting to it, because to be honest, this is super simple. I mean, there's videos out there to take the tank off and take the coils out and whatnot, how to get the valve cover off. It really a simple job. But the points I wanted to make were twofold. One is I don't trust any of the stuff that you buy today, right? So these are feeler gauges. And what I suggest is check them. Check that you're actually using the correct, measurement, right? So here I have two of them that are listed as 10 thou 0.25 millimeter. So I've laid that now on my notepad with all the different measurements that I've been taking. But here's the key. So I've got my micrometer here, and they're both supposed to be 10 thou, right? Well, this one's 11 thou. Okay, and let's see this other one. The other one's actually 10 thou. So considering the fact that the clearance on this is basically plus or minus a thou, if I'm measuring with one versus the other, I could think either I'm out of spec and adjust it improperly. And that applies to all of these. I've checked a whole bunch of them. A lot of them are off. Anytime that I'm working with a certain set or range, I'll always double check with this micrometer. The second thing is about how they do their valve train. It's actually kind of cool. I'll try to get in there and show you. So here's the valve train. And what I think is cool is, so it's a dual overhead cam, but there's only one lobe per cylinder, and each cylinder, each set of valves, I should say, has a single roller follower that splits off and does two valves. The other cool part is just how simple it is to get to them. You can see I already have this one here loose. You just pull the shaft out, and the rocker drops out of the way, and you can get to the shims. The shafts are right here, and you just pull them. You can hear I dropped out that one. So now I can push this out of the way, change the shims, put it back up in place, right? And just push that shaft back in. Really cool setup. Kind of reminds me of like how the M8 Harleys are, where there's the push rod that goes up and it operates one rocker shaft, but the rocker shaft splits and does two valves. So pretty neat setup, pretty simple setup. Kudos to Honda for this. Now I just got to get the rest of the shims in, take my final measurements, disconnect this coolant hose, and start putting it back together, because I can't leave Shantae without a motorcycle for too long. She goes into withdrawals. So I'm only gonna assemble one rocker just to show, but you literally reach around and grab the rocker, just move it so that it lines up with the shaft. All right, it takes a little bit of finesse sometimes. Boom. Now it's in. Now that one rocker is in place, I can check the valves. The other one's not. I don't have shims in it. I'm waiting for shims to show up. They're on their way, a few stops away. But then it's as simple as verifying, the correct feeler gauge, one that actually measures correct. Then just get it in there. And there we are. That's the exhaust side at 10.5 thou. And the intake side is right where I want it to be, which is about 6.5 thou. Dead center in the specification. So let's see, there we are. If I can set the other two up the same way, Shantae is going to have another 17,000 miles trouble-free. We hope. I say we hope, but the reality is it's a Honda, and they are just very, very reliable. I will let her speak on the suspension. I'll do a short or something. She says the fluid change made a huge difference. Now, whether or not that fluid change is just from having fresh fluid, as several people have commented, and that's a possibility, or is it the thicker fluid? I don't know. But for now, she says she's loving it. So I'm going to stick with that. And that's it. I did not intend to pull the radiator. I just needed to drain it a little bit so that I could remove this upper coolant hose. But I dropped the lower coolant hose to drain it, and then once I removed the upper coolant hose, I realized nothing else was holding the radiator in place, so, well, why not? You know. But yeah, fresh set of spark plugs. Didn't really need it, but I'm in this far, so, you know, might as well. And that's about it. We'll get this thing together. I'm happy with the clearances. Hopefully the valve cover doesn't give me too much trouble going on. It's an interesting setup. On one side, they do have the bump out to seal over here. On the other side, no, it's just flat. I gotta give Honda credit. Good quality, well, good design. I don't know if it's the best quality, but definitely good design. You know, they try to make things reliably, you know, not leaking and stuff like that. So again, kudos to them. Even getting this thing in is very, very straightforward. Just take your time. And don't knock the metal caps off. That's probably the hardest part, is just getting it around the timing chains. But if you just go nice and easy, you'll get it around it all and get it in place, and it shouldn't leak. I'm gonna find that out before giving it off to Shantae, but I've got faith in it. I've got faith in the way Honda designed these things. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is available, a bunch of videos for it. I'm just gonna button this thing up, get it fired up, take it for a spin. Fingers crossed she don't leak. Sitting here, putting this back together, I'm realizing this thing is not designed for someone with big hands. I mean, just the tight spaces. You know, to their credit, they make this limited space work, but geez, whew, not fun. Tedious. This will be just a short ride. Just put a mile or two on it. She started up, she's running good, nice and quiet. I'm very comfortable now, knowing that, you know, the valves are within spec, and I'm more than just within spec. They're on the spec pretty much, which I think is important. I like to be precise. But yep, topped off with coolant, topped off with oil. And we're looking good. I'm unfortunately, today's not going to be one of those days where I get to take a break, because the tools to do the races for the Fat Boy, for the neck, the steering head bearing came in. So basically it's get this one done and then get right to continuing on. We don't have enough time. That was a comment recently, and it's true. You know, there's never enough time. You got to make do with the time you have. So I'll keep at that, continue on a little bit more of a ride, and fingers crossed everything looks good. Shantae be riding again, she'll be happy, and we move on. Okay, for today I'll leave you with that. Everybody, thank you again for comments and suggestions. And actually, somebody commented about it's on a different Honda, but changing the controls to put Harley controls on. I actually have the shifter, not lever, the connection. It looks like it's wearing out. So I kind of wonder if I can find a Harley one similar size and replace it. Give me a little bit of adjustability too. I don't know. These are just the thoughts I have. But yeah, again, thank you for commenting, for giving me ideas that make me go off on a strange tangent. But I'll leave that for another day. Until then, everybody ride safe, and I will see you next time.